The Cuban Trump supporters in Miami are losing their collective minds over this billboard, mi gente. Have you ever wondered why so many Cuban Americans tend to be Republican Trumpers once they are here in these United States? Here's why, mi gente. The primary reason why is because many of these confused come mierdas were also the Republican Trumpers of Cuba, if you will, who also had the same attitudes of wealth and moral supremacy when they lived in their island. The truth is that most Cuban Americans who are Republican Trumpers today only consider themselves to be of white European Spaniard descent and thereby are unapologetically proud of their colonizer ancestors who stole the island from the native Taino Indians, just as the white Europeans did here in these United States, while then also owning African slaves in order to exploit all the resources of the island to then enrich themselves from all of their free labor. Why do you think that these same Cubans have been the only group of Hispanic immigrants who have been granted a special immigration treatment here in these United States? This is because whenever the white supremacy of this country ever decided to grant the Cuban exiles American citizenships as soon as they got here, they did so with a mutual understanding that once these Cubans become U.S. citizens, they will then be fervent defenders of the white supremacy of this country, since as Batista supporters that they were in Cuba, they were also fervent white supremacy defenders when they were back in their fucking island. The truth is that without these Cuban Republican Trumpers who now live here, Fidel Castro and his revolution would have never emerged back when he did. These are the same Cubans who back then, while in Cuba, had the rest of the Cuban people hung up to the top of their necks with all of their hoarding, their prejudices, their exploitations, and their arrogance. Why do you think that most of them now have no desire to make peace or reconcile with their own people from Cuba? First of all, because they consider the majority of the Cuban people in Cuba to be socialist parasites of the government in the same way they think of Democrats in this country. And secondly, because the only way they are willing to ever return to Cuba is to solely once again have the power and control over the rest of the Cuban people. In other words, mi gente, one of the key reasons most Cuban Americans associate nowadays with the Republican Party of racist come mierdas is because when they were in Cuba, they also belonged to their own Republican Party of racist come mierdas. Stay woke, mi gente. Dale.